We have a lame duck prime minister, rejected and fired by his own caucus, unable to respond to threats from abroad or crises that he and his party caused after 9 years at home. They supported everything he's done, and they promised to keep doing it. And if they say otherwise, we know they're lying, because they would have done so earlier. A quarter of our kids, according to federal data, are going to school hungry, and a quarter of our families are living in poverty. The worst inflation in 40 years. After out-of-control Liberal deficits and money printing increased our money supply by $700 billion, or 40%, that is to say 10 times faster than the growth in the output of our economy. Spending out of control. The deficit hit $62 billion. Remember, we were all supposed to accept the excuse that COVID caused the deficit, but as we get further and further away from COVID, the deficit actually gets bigger and bigger. The deficit 50% bigger than it was supposed to be. A fact we found out the same day that the finance minister who was supposed to tell us about this failure resigned and blamed her boss for that failure. Immigration is out of control, with a 200% increase in year-over-year population growth, causing a massive housing, social service, and job crisis. Everything is out of control, and now our government is out of control. We have a lame duck prime minister, rejected and fired by his own caucus, unable to respond to threats from abroad or crises that he and his party caused after 9 years at home. And why did they get rid of him? Did Liberal MPs get rid of him because they disagree with his policies, doubling the housing cost? Did they say that all of a sudden they've changed their mind on quadrupling the carbon tax up to 61 cents a litre? Is it because they feel guilty over the hell they've unleashed in our streets? No. They say he's doing a great job. It's just that Canadians unfairly don't like him anymore. And that unpopularity threatens their power, paychecks, and pension. And so, right before an election, the Liberal MPs want to elect another Justin Trudeau who has a different face. They're all Justin Trudeau. They're all just like Justin. They supported everything he's done, and they promised to keep doing it. And if they say otherwise, we know they're lying, because they would have done so earlier. You have carbon tax Carney himself to this day. He's on the Liberal website as the chief economic growth advisor to Justin Trudeau. He hasn't even resigned from that position after Justin Trudeau has resigned himself as the leader. Presumably then, carbon tax Carney supports every single economic policy that has given us the worst decline in per capita GDP of any G7 country, that has doubled our debt, that has taxed our people, that has destroyed our productivity. Oh, there's one disagreement. Carbon tax Carney doesn't think that Justin Trudeau is spending enough on heat pumps. That's the only disagreement we can find so far. Then you have carbon tax Chrystia, who stormed out as finance minister the day she was supposed to introduce the fall economic update, which would show our deficit 50% bigger than she had promised only 6 months earlier. She claims now she has some disagreement with the deficits that she ran. She disowns her own economic policy. And then there's carbon tax Clark. She's the queen of the carbon tax in British Columbia. She was the carbon tax queen before Justin Trudeau even got the idea. In fact, she might even have been the inspiration. Of course, BC had the first and the worst carbon tax. And carbon tax Clark bragged, and you can look up the quote here, bragged that BC's carbon tax was the highest in North America and that it was twice as high as the federally imposed carbon tax. They are all just like Justin. So what are they fighting about? Given that they agree on all of the same disastrous economic policies, they're fighting for themselves. Liberals are putting Liberals first, It's time to put Canada first. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to take back control and put our country first. That means rebuilding our economy, bringing home production, rebuilding our military, supporting a strong border, reinstating controls on immigration, and most of all, being proud of our country and unapologetic for our history. We need to honor our past and our shared values. We need to live out the dream that started with John A. Macdonald. Yes, I said John A. Macdonald, who believed in an independent and sovereign Canada. We need to uphold our heroes, stop tearing down our symbols, remind people who come here that when they're given a Canadian flag and they land on Canadian soil, that it's the greatest gift on earth and that they should be proud to be part of the Canadian family. That's what it means to be a proud Canadian. That's what it means to put Canada first. Let's bring it home.